You casually answered the last physics question of the college entrance exam, causing a nationwide sensation among 6 billion people, and were specially admitted to the National Defense University just because on this year's physics exam paper, the military industry department said a question about electromagnetic cannons. They originally just wanted to pull a small stunt in such an exam, but unexpectedly, you, a nobody from a small high school, deeply embarrassed them. At this moment, on the classroom podium, physics teacher Wang Digang tapped the blackboard and earnestly said, "Classmates, you must skip the last big physics problem this afternoon. Got it?" Everyone nodded. Got it. You twirled your pen and nodded. It's been 3 years since you transmigrated to this parallel world without any cheat abilities. It's been quite disappointing. The last physics problems in this world are all very hard. They often directly use the latest research projects as questions. Anqua, it's all about being ridiculously tough, so everyone gives up on them. Chenemo, did you hear that? Don't touch the last big problem. Bald Wang Digang said seriously. Chenemo nodded. You are the hope of the entire experimental class, and the only student in the class who might get into a top university. This is just an ordinary middle school in a small county. All the top students are concentrated in 2 rocket classes. Students in the regular experimental class can get into an ordinary university, which is already impressive. You stretched. When you first transmigrated, you were naive. You once attempted a mock exam's last big physics problem and ended up being laughed at badly. Soon, the exam approached. The proctor announced the exam rules, started distributing answer sheets and TET papers. When the paper was in your hands, you immediately started filling in your name, then flipped through the paper, just reading the questions, not answering them. After roughly scanning the distribution of questions, you were surprised to find that the last physics problem was actually to explain the modern concept and design of electromagnetic cannons, requiring the latest generation of electromagnetic cannons. Fill in the missing parts. Zhao Yue sneered coldly beside him, a disdainful curl of his lips. That Chenemo kid has no TET-taking skills at all. The time spent reading the questions, I could have already figured out the first 3 multiple-choice questions in physics. Now I just need to write down the answers. He definitely can't beat me. Yet, he saw that Chenemo was actually looking at the last big physics problem. What does that mean? Zhao Yue was stunned. Are you serious? Going for the last big physics problem? That's not even meant for humans. That's a question designed by the nation to select geniuses. We're just small-town exam takers from a county. Why are you even touching that question? Yet, no matter how dazed Zhao Yue's gaze was, you had no reaction at all. You just picked up a ballpoint pen, pencil, and ruler, and started scribbling and drawing on the paper. The current materials are flawed. Piling on nanomaterials recklessly and carbon fiber are both wrong approaches. What needs to be done now is to put it into practical use as soon as possible. That means increasing the range, lengthen the barrel, increase the base weight, boost the initial velocity of the projectile, and through aerodynamic design of the shell, ultimately achieve a range of 300 kilometers. Your expression showed no change at all. The knowledge in your brain seemed to appear out of nowhere, nourishing the mind of this time traveler. If you didn't write it down, it would feel uncomfortable. Chen Mo's movements were large. The sound of writing and drawing lines attracted the attention of many in the exam hall. The invigilator walked over, his face full of SOC. This boy is working on the last sub-question of the final big physics problem. He even skipped the part calculating the electromagnetic resistance value. Instead, he directly started writing about the design and improvement of the electromagnetic cannon. The 2 invigilators looked at each other in bewilderment. This is a bit too incredible. And Zhao Yue now felt something was off too. It's already 4 o'clock. Half of the 2-hour exam time has passed. Zhao Yue looked up and glanced at the clock hanging on the wall. Chenemo is still working on that problem. Is he crazy? Or does he really think he can design it? At this moment, in the Provincial Exam Command Center, an old man sat there with displeasure in his eyes. You Exam Command Center folks are something else. Even I have to be locked up with you. It really is, until the very last moment. We must stay isolated from the outside world. Several leaders from the Ministry of Education all smiled apologetically. It's the rules. The old man smacked his lips. That last physics problem. I should have let my PhDs handle it. I got itchy and set the problem myself, and now you've dragged me here. Old Zhang, please don't be angry. It's the college entrance exam rules. Zhang Weiguo nodded. Then he started tapping on the keyboard. He was communicating with his research institute people. Seeing this, no one around tried to stop him. Remember, he was one of the exam's question setters. If it were other question setters, they'd all be in places with no communication devices. Until the exam ends, they can't come out. But this old man can freely use electronic devices. As long as he stays here, there should be quite a few answering this problem. But if they don't draw the design, it's all fake. At most, give them 1 or 2 points. Zhang Weiguo typed on the keyboard while saying, when grading, never go easy on those just fishing for points. Yang Yucai quickly nodded. Rest assured, old Zhang. At that moment in the exam hall, you wrote, while also drawing a diagram. You didn't know how suddenly so much knowledge came flooding in. You just felt your mind was full. Lie an ocean of knowledge inside. Able to access vast amounts of information at any time. Or rather, from this problem, some things you had realized. Epiphany. Epiphany is a better word for it. So this is the golden finger of a time traveler? Your hand keeps writing quickly without stopping. You no longer care about the other questions. You just feel that what you're writing now is definitely correct. You'd rather write it once now and repeat it again later, grasping every detail, then tackle the science comprehensive exam paper. After all, taking that exam now would at best get you into a good university. But what you're writing now is of immeasurable value. Finally, 10 minutes before the exam ends. You finish writing 2 full pages. On the answer sheet for that question, you wrote the basic principles. As for the argument, it's placed in the physics section of the other answer sheets. If someone in the country understands it, they'll naturally retrieve your answers to other questions. If they don't understand, then they'll have to figure it out themselves. Just then, a mechanical voice rings in your mind. Ding. Detected that the host wrote down insights during the TET. Passed the system TET. Super insight system has been bound. Received beginner reward. Brain processing speed increased by 1000%. Brain processing speed level 1/1000th. First generation computer. At this moment, Zhao Yue rustles through his exam paper because he's too focused on your state. He's fallen behind on his own paper. Zhao Yue thinks while sweating profusely, but he's confident inside because he thinks there's still that talent over there, still stuck on the last physics problem. This ridiculous scene is almost laughable. Isn't he an idiot? Finally, Zhao Yue sees you start moving. You also begin working on other questions. But then Zhao Yue is shocked again because your hand speed is just too fast. You pick up a 2B pencil to fill in answers, simply glancing at the exam paper. And in less than 5 seconds, you start filling in answers. Even the thinking process, faster than a machine reading answer sheets. Even at the low-level speed of a 1000th grade computer, it's still beyond what the human brain can achieve. Right now, your thoughts are racing. You're confident in mentally calculating all the formulas. An invigilator walked over. He glanced at you and shook his head. He exchanged a look with his colleague. Both of their eyes were full of regret. They recognized this young man because they were actually sophomore teachers from the experimental high school. Now they're serving as invigilators. They had been tipped off beforehand. Not that they were told to help their own students cheat, but to hand out the exam papers a bit faster. That was acceptable. Finally, the exam-ending bell rang. The male invigilator let out a deep breath. Then he glanced at Chen Mo, who was writing furiously. He silently counted to 5 in his mind. All right, all examinees, stand up. The college entrance exam is now over. Stop writing. Then all the students stood up. And you stood up too. Without even a hint of reluctance, you didn't try to write a few more answers. Could it be that he had planned to focus solely on the last question? The male invigilator was also stunned. That was indeed possible. Many highly talented kids would aim for the last big question in the physics exam. As long as they could answer it, or even get most of it, or even just get a third of the correct answer, they'd have a chance to soar. Direct special admission. Could Chen Mo be planning that? With that thought, the male invigilator started collecting the answer sheets. Finally, when he collected your answer sheet, he was completely, "What does this mean?" His expression was utterly frozen because he saw that your answer sheet was completely filled. Every fill-in-the-blank question has an answer. Every big question had the necessary steps written down and was very concise, with no extra steps. A standard answer. The exam ended. You didn't linger and left the exam hall directly. You yawned and stretched. There were many students on the road, all beaming with excited smiles. The college entrance exam was over. After holding back for 10 years, they could finally relax and take a break. The time after the exam is the most carefree time in life. Feeling your stomach protest, you were numb. You didn't feel it earlier, but after the exam ended, you realized you were starving. Just as you walked back to the classroom to pack up and get ready to say goodbye to the homeroom teacher before leaving, Yu Yuzhu walked over with a worried expression. Chen Mo. You looked up at Yu Yuzhu. What's wrong? Did you spend over an hour on the last physics problem? Yu Yuzhu clenched her fists with anxiety in her eyes. Who told you that? Don't worry about who told me. Just tell me if you did. Yu Yuzhu pressed on. Yu Yuzhu was very pretty. The school beauty of the whole grade. Not just the class monitor of class 3, but also a good student. She wore a high ponytail. With the youthful energy of a high school girl, you didn't plan to hide it. That last problem was quite interesting, so I spent time on it. You're so childish. Yu Yuzhu was instantly furious. Zhao Yue provoked you, so you went to do that last question. Why are you acting like a child? You're also a witness. Me doing the last question has nothing to do with you. Sure enough, at that moment you heard a voice from outside the door. Chen Mo actually went to do the last physics problem. He only spent 10 minutes on the other questions. So this is the top student from class 3. It's really kind of funny. Zhao Yue's voice came through. He deliberately stood with a few guys at the door of class 3's temporary classroom. His tone was full of mockery. You suddenly stood up. Yu Yuzhu said, "What are you doing? You're not going to hit him, are you? We're adults now. Fighting means jail time." But you rushed straight out, carrying your backpack too. Zhao Yue at the door was stunned. After seeing you run out, he instinctively raised his arm. What are you doing? Are you going to hit me? I wasn't lying. You're the one doing that question meant for geniuses. The next moment, Zhao Yue only saw you charging straight at him, as if you were about to hit him, but you rushed right past Zhao Yue with your bag, starting a 100-meter sprint, ran straight down 3 floors, and dashed out of the exam site. Chen Mo. Wait for me. Yu Yuzhu quickly followed him down. She finally found you at the noodle shop by the entrance. You were eating buns sold at the noodle shop, and also ordered 2 bowls of egg noodles. After the exam ended, you felt like you were starving. Yu Yuzhu was panting. She walked up to you and said angrily, "Why are you running? You chew on the bun. Your speech is slurred." In less than 2 minutes, the steamed buns are already down. Very hungry. Too hungry. Yu Yuzhu sits down angrily. She asks, "What are you thinking?" You speak calmly. "Shut up. I'm finishing up so I can go back." Soon, a steaming bowl of noodles arrives. You eat heartily, until 2 bowls are gone. Only then do you feel much better. That hunger is gone. The brain's processing speed increases, requiring more energy, which means more food intake. You rub your belly. Bought 2 more bowls. Half an hour later, the two finally return to the classroom. The next moment, homeroom teacher Yan Daochuan rushes up. Chen Mo, did you bomb the science section? I heard from the sophomore invigilator that you were working on the last physics problem and spent a lot of time on it. In short, Chen Mo just denies everything. This isn't the experimental high school, but another school, a middle school used as a test site. Go home, and come back tomorrow to pack up. When your elementary school teacher mom returns, she immediately asks, you little brat, I heard from your homeroom teacher that you worked on the last physics problem? Her eyes are filled with anger. You shake your head, refusing to admit it. After returning, your truck driver dad stays silent. He lights a cigarette, thinks for a moment. If you bombed it, then repeat the year. The people around you. Right now, the main thing is to just keep it to yourself. And you can't even talk back or anything. You just have to deny it to the end. Luckily, Yu didn't tell anyone what she admitted. After all, the future is your own. Besides your parents caring, the teachers can only shake their heads and sigh. Over the next few days, the system didn't react much. You can take a good rest. 2 days later, Zhang Weiguo was at an outdoor shooting range. Standing beside him were a group of researchers, a few soldiers, and a general-level officer. This is the second-generation experimental electromagnetic cannon. You military folks, take a look at its practicality. With that, Zhang Weiguo waved his hand. Start the experiment. Its range is now 20 kilometers, though it's still a bit lacking. When the third generation is upgraded, the range can be increased to 50 kilometers. Conventional non-guided missiles have a range of only about 70 kilometers at most. Even though the current version's range isn't enough, it has a bright future. There's room for improvement. The general raised an eyebrow. Isn't this year's college entrance exam question about electromagnetic cannons? It's all over the internet now. Any progress? Zhang Weiguo shook his head. Most likely, no one will be able to solve it. The simplest electromagnetic cannon principle is easy, but what we're selecting for are students who can offer constructive ideas. The grader for the third part of that question is a PhD student from my institute. They're already grading the papers now. It's probably not going to yield anything. The lieutenant general also sighed. Talents aren't that easy to find. But just as he finished speaking, a PhD student ran over quickly. Dean Zhang. The PhD student's voice was full of urgency. Zhang Weiguo was startled. Why are you back? College entrance exam grading doesn't allow leaving midway. The PhD student was panting heavily, out of breath. He came across a TET paper. He proposed an electromagnetic cannon with a 400-kilometer range. Zhang Weiguo was about to curse. But Zhang Weiguo got even angrier after hearing that. He slapped that PhD student on the head. But before it landed, he turned it into a shoulder tap. You little rascal. A 400-kilometer electromagnetic cannon? Are you messing with me? We've been on this project for 3 years, averaging 1 version per year. Our current cannon only has a 20-kilometer range. The next version will have an upgrade. You're telling me a high schooler wrote one for 400 kilometers? Where's your senior? Did she mess up too? Weren't you two supposed to review it together? That PhD student got hit and almost cried. He felt very wronged. My senior told me to come back. I was only halfway through my calculations, and she had already finished hers. She told me to come get you immediately, and have you go over there yourself. Zhang Weiguo's expression instantly turned serious. Zhang Linyu doesn't lie. Her personality isn't the type to rush and mess things up. Instead, she's very steady. If she's sure about something, it's likely she thinks it's necessary. General Wang, I need to go over there now. Zhang Weiguo turned around and said to the lieutenant general beside him, go ahead. I won't come along. I'll track the experiment tomorrow. The lieutenant general said with a smile, I don't understand the theory part. I can only see the range, power, and accuracy. Leave the rest to you all. After saying that, the lieutenant general left with his guard squad. Zhang Weiguo didn't delay either. He immediately got into the car. Soon the car arrived at the local college entrance exam grading center. Director, a tall, beautiful woman in her mid-20s, walked over. Her expression was full of gravity. She had been waiting at the door for a long time. What's the situation now? Zhang Weiguo was also startled. Zhang Linyu was waiting for him here. Just how big of a deal was this? It could pull her out of her own thoughts. It even made her wait for him to make a decision. Zhang Weiguo got out of the car with several researchers. The armed police soldiers behind also got out and stood guard. As far as we can see, all the theories in this examinee's paper are correct, and he proposed a completely different line of thinking. Zhang Linyu led Zhang Weiguo inside, but the entire answer box only had a rough outline written. I suspect there should be more answers. It's just that there wasn't enough space to write them. Zhang Weiguo immediately understood why he was called over. He picked up his phone. Yang Yucai, come here immediately. I'm at the grading center. Authorize me right now. I need to view a student's exam paper. All subjects, science comprehensive, math, English. Send me everything you can see. The education minister over there was in a meeting. Receiving Zhang Weiguo's call during the meeting, he was stunned. He hadn't even fully reacted yet, but in an instant, he realized the seriousness of the situation. Regarding this year's university admission quota issue, we'll discuss it tomorrow. I have something urgent to attend to right now. This education minister directly put the meeting on hold. He immediately stood up and quickly walked out of the meeting room. Before leaving, he made a phone call. In the name of the Minister of Education, I formally authorize the Military Industry Department to access examination Mo's All college entrance exam paper information. This is recorded as proof of authorization. When Yang Yutsai rushed over, he found the scene very silent. The regular teachers' grading papers were gone. They had all been cleared out of the computer room. Now, the room that could hold 30 teachers' grading papers only had Zhang Weiguo and his Tim Kaizong. Armed police stood at the door. What's going on? Yang Yutsai approached and asked. Wait a moment. The armed police at the door actually stopped Yang Yutsai. That's so extreme. What information did they find now? That even I can't go in? Academician Zhang gave the order. They're verifying data inside now. No one is allowed in. The police officer blocking him was also troubled, but he still firmly carried out the order. His expression was very serious. Yang Yutsai was stunned. Verifying data? They've reached the data verification stage. This candidate's theory is completely correct, and it's quite complex. It presents a new design. That's why they've reached this step of data verification. Yang Yutsai stood at the door. He watched the researchers inside take out their work and laptops to run the data. It was very tense. He didn't understand this field, but he knew how much technology was involved. Immediately lock down all information. Tell the teachers who were grading papers in this room that nothing here can be leaked. They'll sign a confidentiality agreement later. Yang Yutsai instructed whether the answer content is real or not. Having reached the data verification stage, that candidate will definitely be admitted to the National University of Defense Technology, so keeping the candidate's information confidential is necessary. Half an hour later, Zhang Weiguo came out from inside. Professor Zhang, how is it? Yang Yutsai asked nervously. Zhang Weiguo slowly let out a breath. At the same time, he shook his head. He wanted to say something, but he got stuck again. This seemed like regret. Or maybe he was too excited to speak. Now initiate the first level admission process. Send someone over immediately. Notify the local government. You yawned and lay lazily on the sofa. These 2 days of rest were really comfortable. Eat and sleep. The feeling of sleeping after eating is truly great. Son, I sent you $200. Go out and hang out with your classmates. Don't just stay cooped up at home all day. Mom looked at her son lying flat at home. She was a bit worried before going to work. She gave him $200. You nodded helplessly. Got it. You should go to work now. The nation's future flowers are waiting for you to nurture. Mom was an elementary school teacher. Her work schedule was pretty flexible. She didn't go in the morning when she had no class. She only went to work after making herself lunch. Li Shufan sighed. She was really worried about her son's current state. It was like he had completely lost his fighting spirit. Cooped up at home. What the homeroom teacher said had really stuck with her. Plus, she was in the education field herself. Li Shufan knew her son's college entrance exam must have been a disaster. That was the last physics problem. It was selecting true innovative and applied geniuses. Last year, nationwide, those who solved that problem and got the special admission qualification. Only 10 people. Most of them came from military industrial families. They had been trained in research from a young age. Son, don't put pressure on yourself. If you messed up, you messed up. Your family won't blame you. Just try again next year. Don't challenge that problem next year. You nodded irritably. Got it. Please head out now. It's not that you don't respect your mother. It's just that you've been saying it for 2 days. My ears are practically calloused from hearing it. You're just resting your brain now. The intense mental work earlier left me a bit dizzy. Eat a lot. Poop a lot. My head's also buzzing a bit. I feel much better now. You rubbed your brow. Mom opened the door and left for work. At that moment, a message popped up in the class group. Does anyone have plans today? How about we all get together? Let's grab a meal. At everyone. Yu Yuzhu is the class monitor. She's usually not aloof. She gets along well with everyone. Sure. I'm in. Sure. Monitor, send a location. I want to come. I want to come too. Sign me up. You watched the class group explode with messages. You didn't really want to go. You wanted to just laze around all day. Then a private message popped up from Yu Yuzhu. Chen Mo, are you coming? You hesitated for a moment, then gave a positive reply. After that, you took a shower and changed clothes. You hailed a cab and headed out. Soon, you arrived at the place. It was a local party venue. It had just opened. Chen Mo, Yu Yuzhu was on the second floor. She waved excitedly at Chen Mo. What's up? Chen Mo walked up. At that moment, a guy, wearing an apron, came over. He was carrying some food. You look up and realize it's the same person who's been sarcastic to you all along. Zhao Yue, you're working here? Yu Yuzhu is a bit surprised. Zhao Yue raises an eyebrow. How could I be working? This party venue is a property my family bought. Now it's under my management. All the money earned goes to me. Chen Mo, I want to ask you something. What were you thinking back then? That you'd actually attempt the last physics problem? You pick up the cola and take a silent sip, not planning to answer. Your expression is very calm, but Zhao Yue keeps pressing. Really, though? I want to know who gave you the courage that made you brave enough to tackle the last physics problem. That's something only a genius can do. You don't actually think you're that smart, do you? Zhao Yue's smile is very arrogant. He looks really pleased. Then Yu Yuzhu immediately speaks up. Zhao Yue, aren't you going too far? Stop it. Zhao Yue glances at Yu Yuzhu. Why? I'm just asking normally. That's all. Yu Yuzhu steps in front of Chen Mo. He chose to do that problem. He must have had his reasons. Why do you have to meddle so much? You're really annoying. Are you two dating? I'm so jealous of you, Chen Mo. Getting a woman to shield you. Zhao Yue says, pretending to be envious. His tone is full of sarcasm. You stand up. Expression calm. Zhao Yue, are you that bored? You're really sick. Do you think you're filming a show about a son-in-law? Still suppressing me here? Zhao Yue immediately exploded with rage. I'm not doing this business anymore. Just refund the money, that's all. What are you so cocky about? As soon as Zhao Yue finished speaking, several cars outside pulled up in front of the party venue. Everyone in the cars got out. They were all armed military police. In an instant, everyone, including Zhao Yue, was stunned. What followed was trembling. His legs were shaking. Zhao Yue muttered a complaint, then immediately ran downstairs. He was the one in charge. No matter what, he had to take responsibility. Chen Mo, I don't have time to talk to you now. You remember this. You lost to me in physics on the college entrance exam. I'm the top physics student in the grade. I got everything right except the last big problem. Zhao Yue's voice faded into the distance. You looked utterly speechless. This kid is really competitive. And he only targets me in physics. What's going on? Yu Yuzhu looked out the window, a bit worried. Could some classmates be fighting? What are those boys in the class doing downstairs? She was the class monitor. If something happened, she'd be responsible too. She was about to go down. You calmly said beside her, no need to go down. Your expression was calm and composed, as if you knew exactly why these police were here. Yu Yuzhu was stunned. Chen Mo. Do you know what this is about? Those are armed military police. I've only occasionally seen armed military police on duty in the busiest city centers. Chen Mo didn't say directly. Instead, he insisted, wait a bit. No need to go down. They'll come up. Good grief. Could it be you finished the college entrance exam these 2 days and then let loose? Did something really bad? At that moment, the military police from all 3 vehicles got out. Several military police immediately ran to block the party venue's entrances. 4 military police stood at the main entrance. Then a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s got out of the car. When they saw this middle-aged man, all the students were, isn't that the local education bureau director of Jiangqing? The education bureau director was panting heavily, clearly having rushed over. Even the car ride hadn't calmed his heavy breathing. Is this the venue for Class 3 of Experimental High School's team building event? Are you students from Class 3 of Experimental High School? In his urgency, he even forgot to mention the grade. Det. That was said by Zhao Yue. He had already stepped forward. What's going on? Are you a student from Class 3? The Jiangqing Education Bureau Director asked. Zhao Yue was taken aback. No, I'm the owner of this party venue. Get a student from Class 3. Hurry up. Clearly, the director was really anxious. The military police soldiers beside him were on alert around them. Though not raising their guns, they maintained a security presence, as if to prevent anyone from suddenly acting out. Very vigilant. The Jiangqing Education Bureau Director directly wiped the sweat from his forehead. He shouted, disregarding his image. Chen Mo. Is Chen Mo from Class 3 here? I heard from your homeroom teacher that you decided to have a team building event this morning. The class monitor reported to him that it was here. Chen Mo. Has classmate Chen Mo arrived? All the students. Everyone was stunned. The Jiangqing Education Bureau Director brought military police to find Chen Mo. Isn't this a bit too absurd? Yu Yuzhu was stunned too. She turned around and looked at Chen Mo in disbelief. What did you do? You didn't really do something bad, did you? Thinking back to how Chen Mo seemed to completely know who the police were looking for, she was now thoroughly panicked. Chen Mo failed the college entrance exam and gave up on himself. He's actually doing bad things. Failed the exam? Just retake it next year. Yu Yuzhu was almost crying with anger. Her reaction was nothing like that of a normal classmate. Why would you give up on yourself? You were speechless. Wow. That reaction was way too much. You waved outside and said casually, I'm Chen Mo. I'm up here. Come on up. Your voice was very calm, as if you didn't care at all. Hearing this, the Jiangqing Education Bureau Director was overjoyed. You're Chen Mo? He looked like he'd won the lottery. Zhao Yue was also instantly thrilled. Wow, Chen Mo really did do something bad. Now he's definitely going to be arrested. Director, he's Chen Mo. I'll take you up. Zhao Yue bowed and bent over beside him, ready to lead the Education Bureau Director upstairs. You guys stay here, keep the area secure, and disperse any unrelated people. Zhao Yue thought, arresting someone without military police? What's the deal? But he didn't think much of it, just assuming it was some special arrangement. As soon as they got upstairs, Zhao Yue started his taunting mode. Chen Mo, if you've done something wrong, just confess now. Confession gets leniency, resistance gets severity. You're still young. Confess early, and you'll get out early. We're all classmates here. When you get out, retake the college exam. I'll give you a set of practice tests then. But just as Zhao Yue was mocking him, the Jiangqing Education Bureau Director rushed forward. His eyes were full of excitement. He grabbed your hand firmly. Chen Mo, what a good student. Chen Mo coughed. If you have something to say it. If not, my mom's calling me home for dinner. Seeing this, everyone was speechless. It's only 2 in the afternoon. What dinner are you eating? The Jiangqing Education Bureau Director spoke excitedly. After composing himself, he directly said, Student Chen Mo, congratulations, you've been specially admitted to Defense University. Go back now and pack your things. Report to Defense University immediately. In 1 hour. A Defense University advisor should arrive in Jiangqing. He'll come personally to pick you up. Everyone was stunned. What does this mean? He really got into Defense University? Chen Mo solved the last physics problem, and he actually did it. He got specially admitted. That can't be possible. Zhao Yue was instantly dumbfounded. His eyes were filled with SOC. Chen Mo got admitted by solving the last physics problem. He really got admitted. That's impossible. How could this happen? A burning sensation instantly rushed across his face. The classmates around were also stunned. Defense University. He was actually admitted to the Defense University. This is simply too hard to believe. And Yu Yuzhu, Her eyes were also dazed. Amidst the SOC, there was more joy than anything. Yu Yuzhu asked excitedly, "Did you really solve the last big problem?" The Jiangqing Education Bureau director immediately coughed twice. "Such matters are strictly forbidden to discuss. Now we only know that classmate Chen Mo was admitted because of the last physics problem. There are hundreds of such cases nationwide every year. Everyone, don't discuss this too much. Someone will come soon to sign confidentiality agreements with you." Yu Yuzhu was full of joy. This was sincere. "Chen Mo, you're amazing." He just waved his hand. "It was really just a lucky guess. But thank you for protecting me lately. I know, these past 2 days, you've been able to rest well without disturbance. That's all thanks to Yu Yuzhu." After all, she didn't tell others exactly that he spent time on the last physics problem, and she banned classmates from discussing it in the group. She also asked everyone not to talk about it privately, even on the campus forum. You could see Yu Yuzhu's old Sao speaking up for him. "It's nothing." Yu Yuzhu's pretty face instantly turned red. She lowered her head. "I'm the class monitor. It's my duty." "Then thank you, class monitor." He smiled slightly. For some reason, hearing him thank her in the tone of addressing the class monitor, Yu Yuzhu only felt a void in her heart. "Classmate Chen Mo, you should go pack up now." The Education Bureau director's tone was somewhat urgent. "The teacher from Defense University is already on the highway. They'll be here within an hour." Defense University? Chen Mo's tone was as if he really didn't know. "Which Defense University? You really don't know about Defense University? You're kidding." "The moment I transmigrated, I started high school's tough life right away. Your past worldview is useless here. You didn't even know that question was for the Defense University fast track. And you went for the last physics problem. Is that even possible?" Yu Yuzhu quickly explained. "The Defense University is the Defense Science and Technology University. That's our country's military defense science and technology university. Its students become the nation's backbone in military research. You'd have a bright future there." Yu nodded. "National Defense University, huh, now I get it. Classmates, keep having fun. I'll head home first." You waved your hand. Your reaction was very calm. After all, you already have a system. Making a fuss would be too embarrassing for a transmigrator. "Classmates, wait a moment. Everyone, don't leave. Soon, Education Bureau staff will come to sign confidentiality agreements," the education director said before leaving. "The director wanted you to get into the sedan, but you asked, 'Can I ride that police armored vehicle?'" The director was stunned. "That might violate regulations. The military police are under the Army's command. He's from the Education Bureau. Can't order them around." "It's fine. If classmate Chen Mo doesn't mind, you'll have military status the day after tomorrow. We've transported prisoners before. You can ride in our vehicle," the military police captain said. He liked Chen Mo's character, unruffled by honor or disgrace, very composed. "And he's a specially recruited talent for the Defense University. We're all in the same system. All comrades." "That works too." The education director nodded. You sat inside. Next to you sat several fully armed military police. After greeting them, you began checking out the situation inside the vehicle. Aside from the thicker armor and the special function area, you couldn't tell much else. Soon you arrived at your doorstep. At that moment, Li Shufan was called back. The elementary school principal told her to come home immediately. This left her completely baffled. She had no idea what was going on. You casually opened the door and went in. Behind you followed the Jiangqing Education Bureau director and several fully armed military police soldiers. Li Shufan looked toward the door, her expression very grim. "You little brat, what trouble have you gotten into? Did you do something bad? Tell me, how have I taught you?" Li Shufan instantly panicked. She immediately came up and grabbed Chen Mo's ear. "He's still a child. It's my failure as a parent. If there's any issue, just deal with me, his guardian." As a mother, seeing this scene, her first thought was to reduce her son's blame, or take it all on herself. However, the Jiangqing education director stepped forward. "Chen Mo's mother, your child has done well. He's been pre-admitted to the Defense University. He needs to report to the Defense University now." The Jiangqing education director's words echoed in the room. Li Shufan's expression froze in that instant. She was stunned. The reversal was too big. She couldn't wrap her head around it for a moment. You quickly rubbed your ear. "Mom, let go of my ear. That hurts so much. I really didn't cause any trouble." Li Shufan looked at the Jiangqing education director before her eyes full of questions. She knew this person. This was the Jiangqing Education Bureau director. She knew that. "This is true." The Education Bureau director nodded in response. "The teachers from Defense University should arrive in about 40 minutes. Please help your child pack their things. Go to school to report now." Li Shufan instantly burst into tears of joy. When she left home this morning, she was still worried her son had failed the college entrance exam, and now, he was being specially admitted to Defense University. This left her momentarily overwhelmed, but it was a joyful feeling. After a few minutes, she came to her senses, wiping away her tears. "I'll go pack his things right now." However, you raised your hand high. "Sir, I have a request." The Education Bureau director paused, but immediately asked, "Chen Mo, just say it. I'll try to meet any request you have. I want to stay home for one more day. Can I report tomorrow instead?" As soon as he finished speaking, his mother's face darkened immediately. "You little brat. Go take a shower right now. I'll pack your things now, and you'll leave with them. This is Defense University, and you still want to report tomorrow?" The Education Bureau director didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped out to make a phone call. After a while, he returned with a complicated expression. "The teachers over there agreed, but they require plainclothes police to keep an eye on you. You'll leave early tomorrow morning." Now Li Shufan was stunned. This is Defense University. It's not just any ordinary university. They agreed so easily to her son's somewhat excessive request. That's a school with military management. Li Shufan panicked. You little brat, you don't want to go, do you? Defense University is a dream for so many people. You have to go. You're helpless. Call dad back. Have his partner wait for him there. He can still catch the high-speed rail now. Let's have a family dinner before he leaves. Just a meal. This trip will take at least 2 months. Though he's a time traveler, he still has feelings for his parents. That blood bond can't be erased. Li Shufan thought for a moment, then immediately picked up her phone and called. Soon, Junjun replied from the other end. He'll be home by evening. The Education Bureau director smiled. I'll head out now. Some plainclothes police will be at your building soon. If Chenemo goes out, they'll follow him too. Don't worry too much. With that, he pushed the door and left. Teacher Li Shufan hadn't reacted yet. What kind of big shot are you? To make that teacher wait for you. He waved his hand, signaling he didn't know either. He was just giving it a try. He didn't expect them to actually agree. It seems his drawings got some attention. He hadn't finished them, because he really couldn't draw anymore. An electromagnetic cannon technology, that's not something you can finish in 2 hours. He only drew part of it back then. Now they're assessing its value. It'll be good for future development. Working with the country, you'll eat well every day. The pineapple homeland hasn't been reclaimed yet. This world's layout is similar to the previous one, and he hasn't figured out the system yet. Working with the country is clearly more advantageous. Suddenly, his phone rang. He picked it up. It was a message from Yu Yuju. Chenemo, where are you? Can I come wait for you at your building now? I have something to tell you. What does that mean? Anyway, he's not leaving yet. Then that's fine too. So he replied immediately. Come on over. Chenemo saw Yu Yuju's message and was a bit taken aback. I haven't even told you my address yet, and you're already on your way. At the institute, Zhang Linyu sighed. Just then, a phone call came in. It was from Zhang Weiguo. Zhang Weiguo's tone was anxious. How did the local education bureau handle things? Bring him up tonight. Zhang Linyu said calmly. The student had something come up and asked to leave tomorrow morning instead. I agreed. Who said you could agree? I agreed. Per level 1, you can delay departure by 24 hours. Level 2 is 8 days. Director, don't forget that. Hearing this, Zhang Weiguo backed down and immediately quieted down. Bring him up as soon as possible. Zhang Linyu hung up the phone, leaned back and rubbed her temples. On the computer was your file and an open program showing a railgun model. A high school student with no research background. How did you manage that? Her charming face was full of confusion. You went downstairs and soon saw her standing by the road. Yu Yuju, in a white dress. Yu Yuju was holding a white envelope in her hand. How did you know where I lie? You walked up and asked. Yu Yuju looked up. I'm the class monitor. I know everyone's info in the class. Did you memorize it? You felt something was off. It had only been 10 minutes since she said she was coming. Yu Yuju blushed instantly, lowered her head and stayed silent. She handed over the white envelope. Chenemo, I lie you. I was planning to confess after today's team building ended, but I didn't expect. It's not because you got into Defense University, but because I've liked you all through high school. I love your serious, studious nature. Chenemo, Yu Yuju's eyes are full of sincerity. You're stunned. Don't mess with a good girl. Everyone has principles. Next, you're off to serve the country. You might not be home for a long time, maybe even under closed management. But Yu Yuju didn't wait for your reply. She just kissed you. When you felt the softness of her lips, you realized you were being kissed forcibly. I was supposed to be on a tech military path. How did this suddenly turn into a romance? What's going on? You stood there, frozen. A minute later, your lips parted, and Yu Yuju naturally took your hand. You're leaving soon. Can you spend a moment alone with me? Chenemo nodded. But I'm not leaving today. I'll set off early tomorrow morning. There's still time now. My dad won't be home for at least 2 hours. Yu Yuju's eyes sparkled upon hearing this. Then let's go out and have some fun. Oku? Lie a date. You hesitated for a moment. You didn't pull your hand away. The two of you went shopping. Lie a couple. Chenemo, this is for you. At a souvenir shop, Yu Yuju bought a blue astronaut keychain. She handed it to you, who were watching nearby. Thanks. You took it. So, shouldn't you buy me something similar? Yu Yuju blinked her warm eyes. She pointed at a pink astronaut keychain hanging nearby. Isn't this just exchanging lock tokens? Isn't that a bit too straightforward? But you didn't spoil the mood. You still bought it. I'll take good care of it. Yu Yuju showed a cute, surprised expression. She carefully put away the keychain. During this process, you noticed someone following you all along. But you didn't warn Yu Yuju. That must be the plainclothes officer mentioned earlier. If you had told Yu Yuju, she would only worry and wouldn't be able to relax. They wandered around for a bit and returned to your apartment building. Yu Yuju gathered her courage. Chenemo, can you give me a hug? Chenemo nodded. The beauty entered his arms, carrying a faint, refreshing fragrance. The scent of a maiden lingered at the tip of his nose, making you want to take a few more sniffs. After you go, make sure to stay safe. Message me when you arrive. Oku? Yu Yuju blushed shyly, her two small hands clasped together. Clearly, she asked a bit shyly. You didn't refuse, nor did you agree. If conditions allow. After all, it's the Defense University. I don't know how it's managed inside. Finally, Yu Yuju left. You felt the lingering scent of her hair on you. For a moment, you were a bit dazed. At this moment, Li Shufan called. Son, ride the scooter to pick up your dad. He's almost off the high-speed rail now. Let's save some time. You nodded. I'll go now. Today is basically your own graduation banquet. Probably, having a banquet for getting into the defense university is impossible. Just a family of 3 celebrating is fine. Then you rode your scooter to the high-speed rail station waiting for Dad. Jiangqing is a small county, but it still has its own high-speed rail station. Located between 2 big cities, many high-speed trains stop here. Son, at the high-speed rail exit, a man waved. Dad hurried back after all. You rode the scooter over. The 2 of you headed home. Son, wow, it really is the defense university. Qinjun is a very quiet man. He only managed to say that one line. You nodded firmly. The county leaders came to notify us personally. You have to report tomorrow morning. Qinjun wanted to say something, but couldn't get it out. In the end, he just said, good, but his eyes were a bit teary. This man who held up the family remained silent as always. 20 minutes later, the father and son parked the scooter downstairs. Li Shufan had made a lot of food, a full table. Qinjun took out from the fridge a bottle of beer and chugged it down. Li Shufan came out and saw. What are you doing? Qinjun had drunk the beer, his eyes red. Thirsty. Time to eat. Let our son rest early later. Li Shufan waved and said. The family of 3 had a nice meal, but the atmosphere carried a sadness of parting. When you were in high school, you only came home 1 day a month. But now you're in college, and at the defense university, you'll probably have even fewer chances to come back. This meal lasted a long time, from 7 to 10 o'clock. You drank beer with your dad, watching TV and chatting idly. Mom, Dad, I'm going to sleep. You yawned. Go to bed. The next morning, someone knocked on the door. Chen Mo opened the door. I'm a lecturer at the National Defense University, also a researcher at the Military Science and Technology Headquarters. Zhang Linyu extended her hand. Student Chen Mo, welcome to the National Defense University. Become a sword forger for the motherland. Zhang Linyu looked very young, probably around 26 or 27, but she had an indescribable Cu temperament. Her stiff military uniform added a touch of authority. Chen Mo didn't dare to be arrogant. He extended his hand. Thank you, teacher, for coming to pick me up. Teacher, please come in and sit for a while. Li Shufan stiffened for a moment. This was her first time being so close to a soldier. As for Qinjun, he was also very nervous at this moment. Hello, Chen Mo's mother. We won't sit down. We have military duties. We need to take him back quickly. Zhang Linyu said calmly. Salute to the military family. The 2 guards immediately saluted the old couple. This made both of them a bit flustered. Then they followed Zhang Linyu downstairs. 2 cars arrived. Both were ordinary civilian vehicles. The guards were in the car behind. Chen Mo was originally going to sit in the passenger seat, but Zhang Linyu called him over. She told him to sit in the back with her. In the car, besides the driver, there was only you and Zhang Linyu. Then Zhang Linyu opened her laptop in the back. On it was a design drawing of an electromagnetic cannon. Take a look at this model. What do you think? You felt strangely familiar. This seems like the model of the drawing I sketched on the TET paper. That was too fast. It's only the 3rd day after the college entrance exam. He started studying his own stuff. This is the model built from your blueprints. Many of the details inside haven't been perfected. Zhang Linyu's expression was very complicated. Right now, at least half the researchers in the institute are trying to deduce the data in here. The internal principles and details have too much data that can't be deduced. Now you can guess why we came so fast, right? You nod. So my hypothesis was correct. Zhang Linyu was carefully observing Chen Mo's reaction, trying to remember all your reactions as much as possible. Did he really figure this out on his own? Was I wrong about him? Have you attended any related training? Or has anyone taught you these concepts? Zhang Linyu hesitated for a moment. Finally, she chose a question to ask. No, not really, but my favorite show is the military channel. You answer truthfully. Watching the military channel is enough to come up with this model? Just then, Zhang Linyu's phone rang. Zhang Weiguo's voice came through. After theoretical verification, this candidate's DZI approach is temporarily feasible. Maybe the Eagle's 100-kilometer range electromagnetic cannon was made using this approach. Bring him back as soon as possible. Det. Zhang Linyu answered with a firm tone. Zhang Linyu felt a bit bitter. She still didn't know how Chen Mo came up with this DZI approach. What if he's a spy from the Eagle, who used these blueprints to enter Defense University, especially following the plan to join the Military Research Institute? That would be completely exposed to the Eagle. We still need to verify if Chen Mo is a spy. Zhang Linyu sighed. Your blueprints are very useful. You'll need to cooperate with the Research Institute for development. So, can you explain your approach in detail now? All the details. Everything. Chen Mo nodded. Right here. 10 minutes later, you threw up directly, vomited by the roadside. The sour cabbage bun from breakfast gave off its smell. Chen Mo was stunned from vomiting. This is motion sickness. Almost puked his guts out. Zhang Linyu's expression was somewhat solemn. She looked at the text you typed on the computer, a hint of fierceness in her eyes. Lion eagle spotting its prey, because the text you typed was cut off at the most critical number. Otherwise, after we get to school, you can rest a while before starting. Zhang Linyu tentatively suggested this. You felt relieved. That's great. I think I'm really struggling right now. Hearing your words, Zhang Linyu's heart sank. Her suspicion grew stronger. Could it be a spy? Deliberately stalling here. A well-trained spy could definitely make themselves get carsick and vomit at the critical moment. Soon the car arrived, but this wasn't the end. It was a military airport. After boarding the private plane and taking off, Chen Mo still felt dizzy. How about now? On the plane, Zhang Linyu came over with a laptop and asked. You quickly refused. No way. I'll get airsick soon. Finally, around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, they reached the destination. At the Defense University on the outskirts of Kyoto. Go ahead and settle in first. Zhang Linyu got out of the car and waved. I'll take you to the dorm. The driver drove off, taking you away. You felt a bit better. And nodded. He quickly arrived at the dorm. It turned out to be a single room. The living conditions were a bit too good. He was pleasantly surprised, and a uniform was already placed on the bed. The bedding was all brand new and unopened, waiting for him to unpack. Toiletries and such were already prepared. He looked at the vast campus. His heart surged with emotion. He wondered when the system would activate next, and what insight it would bring. At that moment, Zhang Weiguo met with Zhang Linyu. Zhang Weiguo's expression was serious. After interacting for so long, what do you think? Zhang Linyu took a deep breath. He seems normal and very ordinary, just like a regular student. Except for this railgun design, everything else is too ordinary. So ordinary, it's like a turned spy. Of course, he didn't know that he was now suspected of being a spy. Can you pour some knowledge into my brain? Right now, I only know electromagnetism. Everything else is high school physics level. He asked the system in his mind. Ding. The host can only gain knowledge through insight from the system. There are no other channels. The host can learn on their own. Learning on his own is indeed a bit hard. He was hungry now, so he took out the various snacks that his mom had stuffed into his suitcase. He ate a little. Then he started drawing the blueprints, the complete blueprints for the railgun. He hadn't finished drawing them before. The one in the exam paper was just an outline, just a rough sketch. Many key data points were missing. Now he planned to draw it all out. As he started drawing, the blueprint gradually took shape. Chenemo drew very quickly, 2 to 3 times faster than before. This depended on his hand speed not being fast enough. If you're fast enough, you can do it quicker. I wonder if the actual product will really have a range of 400 kilometers. Wouldn't that include the pineapple too? Would the Eagles aircraft carrier still dare to come? Direct artillery coverage. Just thinking about it feels great. You keep thinking about it and draw even more vigorously. Zhang Linyu's expression was serious. During this process, he kept avoiding revealing key data. In the end, he vomited, claiming motion sickness. He said he always gets carsick. Now he's gone to the dormitory. And you know nothing about other scientific research. Yet you can rattle off electromagnetics and railgun design principles. It's clearly been rehearsed many times in your mind. It might even be from professional training. I have reason to suspect this is an ignorant student turned by the enemy. He was lured by the enemy with the promise of entering the Defense University. He was seduced by that temptation. Zhang Weiguo's expression was heavy. The nearby officers also fell silent. If this is true, it's the same as last time. This kind of thing happened once before. Only that person was even more rigid. The topic was clearly assault rifle design. He stubbornly answered with a drone design because he had some skill. He was eventually admitted on special terms. Of course, he was under special scrutiny after entering. In the end, he was found to be a spy. That incident caused great losses to the Defense University. Are you sure? Zhang Weiguo's expression was somewhat grave. No, Zhang Linyu reported decisively. It's suspicion. Then it's just suspicion. She wouldn't claim something she's unsure of. She's just reporting her feelings honestly. I'll go check it out. Zhang Weiguo sighed. Finally, he stood up. If he really is a spy, then before school starts, find his traces as quickly as possible. Zhang Linyu said with certainty. If he really is a spy, there's no way he'd hand over the core data of the electromagnetic cannon. That's inevitable. This is the world's top technology. It's also top-tier tech over at Eagle. Zhang Weiguo nodded and walked toward the door. Soon, Zhang Linyu and Zhang Weiguo, along with several others, wearing military uniforms, arrived at your dorm. Zhang Weiguo led the group to the door. Zhang Linyu stepped forward to knock. Then the door opened. The scene inside made the two at the door pause for a moment. You were actually drawing blueprints there. This is too strange. On the first day of school, you actually started already. And shouldn't you be hiding it? Zhang Weiguo stepped forward and looked closely. After a moment, he gasped. This is real. These are the core data. Zhang Weiguo, a leading authority in Rabbit Country's Ministry of Science and Technology, couldn't help but exclaim out loud. Zhang Linyu immediately stepped forward, then was shocked by all the data. That's the real core data, including detailed design principles and various drawings, everything. Yet you had no reaction at all, and continued drawing there, writing notes, as if you didn't know these people had come in. Now it's the detailed design of the base, although there's room for improvement. Using high-strength steel for now is fine. Keeping costs down will make product line design easier. You drew while muttering to yourself. Zhang Weiguo was stunned at this point. A third of it has been drawn now. These are very detailed blueprints. Just a little more supplement, and it can be precisely modeled. Then they started making samples. Zhang Linyu's body trembled slightly. This was actually real. At this moment, no one thinks you're a spy anymore, because just the third you drew is enough to make the whole world excited. These data alone are conservatively worth hundreds of millions, and it's priceless. Zhang Weiguo's gaze was blank. You didn't notice anyone around. You just kept writing there. When you got hungry, you'd reach into the box and grab food to eat. But this time, you grabbed nothing. You needed to eat. Zhang Weiguo saw the empty wrappers on the floor and the smell of food. He immediately realized, I'll go buy some. Zhang Linyu ran downstairs right away. The professors standing nearby all saw the SOC in each other's eyes. This young girl, Zhang Linyu, when did she ever lower herself? The genius her had always been very proud. Zhang Linyu quickly ran back from the store. She brought a lot of snacks. She was panting as she tore open a bread roll. Then she personally handed it to you, who was drawing the blueprints. All the professors were stunned. You didn't say anything. You just instinctively took the bread and started munching on it. At the same time, your hand drawing the blueprints never stopped. In the whole room, even though a group of professors stood there, the only sound was your pen scratching across the paper. It sounded very crisp. At the same time, there was also the sound of Chen Mo swallowing and chewing. You drew very fast. But you weren't even halfway done. Clearly, this would take a long time. But none of these people wanted to leave. Zhang Linyu tore open another chocolate bar. This time she fed it directly to you. It was almost an instinctive move. Because she didn't want you to reach out each time and slow down your drawing speed. You took a bite directly, then started chewing and swallowing mechanically. This was a reflexive action because your stomach was churning right now. Really hungry, your brain was working at full speed. At the same time, it consumed a lot of energy. A few bites and the chocolate bar was quickly finished. The professors around were all staring intently at the drawings you were making. Their expressions were filled with excitement and thrill, as if it were a cannon about to roll off the production line. Full of anticipation, the time stretched into the middle of the night. Finally, when the clock hand officially hit 3 a.m., you wrote the last sentence. The cannon barrel's service life is only 10,000 rounds, but compared to other unguided cannons range, it has a longer service life. And later, by individually replacing the barrel, low-cost upgrades are possible. This tone clearly showed dissatisfaction with that 10,000 round service life. The experts who saw this were stunned. 10,000 rounds isn't enough? Current conventional 50-kilometer range cannons have a barrel life of at most a few hundred rounds. Breaking 1,000 is already remarkable. You're still not satisfied with 10,000 rounds? You put the pen down on the table. Right now, you just felt dizzy and groggy, and still a bit hungry, but it was much better than the 10 minutes of overusing your brain last time. Then you looked up and were shocked. Good grief. There are quite a lot of people around here. What's with this group of old men around? You were at a loss for a moment. You hadn't noticed it before. Finished writing. Zhang Linyu stood up. Her face was CU and composed. The design is complete. You slowly let out a breath. There are still many details. It might take half a month to fill them in. There are so many details. It's not something you can finish in a short time. Who are these people? Before Zhang Linyu could introduce them, Zhang Weiguo behind her reached out his hand. He directly took the stack of design drawings from the table. This is the honorary president of our defense university, also the chief engineer and dean of the Academy of Sciences. Zhang Weiguo. Zhang Linyu introduced. Chen Mo was momentarily at a loss for what to call him. No wonder he looked so familiar. He must have seen him on TV before. Don't be so formal. Let me take a look first. Zhang Weiguo waved his hand casually. Then he immersed himself in your drawings. The other professors around also began to examine them carefully, to the point where Zhang Linyu couldn't squeeze in. Although she was the genius favored by the whole school and institute, when facing these great minds, she still didn't dare to compete. Earlier, she only got the center spot by feeding Chen Mo. After another hour, you couldn't hold back anymore. You started eating the fruit placed nearby. No idea who bought it. Just eat it. Zhang Weiguo let out a long breath. If we only look at the data on paper, it should be achievable. Even if it's not fully achievable, the principles and design methods in it can still greatly benefit our research. An electromagnetic cannon with a 400-kilometer range. Zhang Weiguo looked at you and asked, where did you learn this? This achievement is enough for the country to support you for life, you know? Zhang Linyu's eyes lit up. She also wanted to know, where exactly did you learn this? How did you design it? This is truly cutting-edge, frontier technology. As for spies, impossible. The concepts you presented now, they're worth an aircraft carrier. There's no way a spy would cost that much. You scratched your head, looking a bit embarrassed. What if I said, I saw that college entrance exam question, and suddenly thought of all this? It's because your questions were so good. Would you believe me? Are you crazy? Coming up with this thing, and you say our questions inspired you? Why not just say, give you a screw from an Eagle aircraft carrier, and you'd build a nuclear-powered one? Isn't that a bit too absurd? Zhang Weiguo's expression was calm, with a world-weary look. I believe you. Zhang Linyu nodded along too. I also believe you. Several professors all nodded along. It's because our questions were so good. We all believe you. Now it was your turn to be confused. What's with those dead fish eyes? That show you don't believe me at all? I really am not lying. That's the only conclusion I have now. It's because your questions were so good that I could get inspired. Alright, everyone go back and rest. Tomorrow, gather teams 1, 2, and 3. Prepare to start feasibility tests on Chen Mo's blueprints. Let's verify the feasibility as soon as possible. Zhang Weiguo stretched his old back. Oh, right. Chen Mo, don't stay here anymore. Come with me to the military family compound. I'll arrange an apartment for you. That's settled. You had to leave your very satisfactory single dormitory, pushing your suitcase into the military family compound at 4 a.m. They call it the military family compound, but really, it's only for senior researchers. Only family can lie here. The guards standing at the entrance are all sentries. This setup is at least put on display. In the end, several professors went back. Chen Mo's blueprints were locked away by Zhang Weigua in front of several professors. Witnessed together, they were locked in the lab safe. And a team of guards was arranged to watch over it. Lin Yu, take Chen Mo to the recently vacated apartment. A 2-bedroom, 1 living room is enough for him alone. Zhang Weigua waved his hand. Then he went home first. Come on, I'll take you to your room. Zhang Linyu led the way, walking ahead, taking you to the elevator. This military compound isn't like the ones in military dramas. Very poor, not even having an elevator. Not even having an elevator. Very poor, not even having an elevator. Instead, it's built like a normal residential area, but only 6 buildings. And each building is less than 10 stories. Can't house too many people. You could say the environment is nice. The main thing is, within the Defense University, a small community environment was created, making it even quieter. The scent of books brewing a sense of life. Soon, the two took the elevator up. 8th floor, 803. Here's the key. You'll lie here from now on. If family wants to visit, remember to submit a request in advance. Zhang Linyu handed the key to Chen Mo. Family can come. Zhang Linyu nodded. You can tell the sentries. They'll arrange someone to pick them up from the airport or high-speed rail station. The people living here are all scientists crucial to army technology and over 20 academicians. Now that you're living here, you get the same treatment. A wave of drowsiness hit. You just feel your head getting groggy. So for the trouble. I'll wash up and go to sleep now. Right now, you just feel your head swelling. Really can't hold on anymore. Even when using his brain quickly, someone seemed to be feeding him. But now the exhaustion is real. Over the next few days, he would be wiped out. He could write a bit each day, so he wouldn't get too obsessed. When you think about drawing the blueprints, it's not simply pulling up the information from your mind. Instead, he chose the range, then designed step by step based on principles, calculating the blueprint scale and the amount of materials needed. It's not just drawing. It's still very brain-draining. He looked around. 2 bedrooms and a living room. Not big, probably about 50 square meters. It looked a bit cramped. It's a basic necessity home, but for him, it was enough. Better than the dormitory. There's a separate kitchen and water heater. If his mom comes later, she can cook for him. He opened the sliding door and stepped out onto the small balcony. Outside, the sky was turning fish-belly white, dawn approaching. After washing up, he went straight to sleep without a moment's hesitation. He slept very comfortably. When he woke up, he saw outside. It was already noon. Chen Mo opened his eyes, opened the door in his underwear, ready to go to the bathroom. As soon as he opened the door, he saw sitting in the living room a woman in casual clothes. It was Zhang Linyu. Zhang Linyu saw this scene, her eyes a bit dazed, but she just turned her head slightly, her expression not showing much reaction. How did you get in? He immediately asked back, in case she turned the tables on him. I had the guard open the door. I saw you hadn't gotten up by 2 o'clock. Zhang Linyu turned her head away. A faint blush was visibly seen, but the aloof woman seemed quite calm. You felt a bit puzzled. Could it be? Guards can open anyone's door anytime. Zhang Linyu shook her head, but as she shook, she saw your lower body. She quickly turned away again. This requires approval. All residence keys are in the safe. Needs family consent or an emergency, or the director's direct order to get them. You asked warily. Then you coming in. What's the deal? Zhang Linyu's usually see-you face was now fully red. You could put your pants on first. You finally realized. You didn't mind much. You went to the bathroom first, then put on pants. Watching you dress and leave the bedroom, Zhang Linyu closed her laptop and put it into her laptop bag. Let's go eat first. We'll talk while we eat. It's already 4:20. The cafeteria should be serving dinner now. I'll also show you the campus facilities. Chen Mo nodded. You washed up and went out. You reached the cafeteria in 10 minutes. The cafeteria had a lot of food, and it was very cheap. You got 3 meat dishes and 1 veggie, plus 3 tails of rice, piling the whole plate high like a small mountain. Food went down. Much better. You looked up at Zhang Linyu and asked, you still haven't said how you got into my room. The director sent me to get you. Worried you overused your brain last night. Zhang Linyu said. Why send you? Couldn't they just call any guard? Zhang Linyu is a proper researcher, at least with a master's degree. Sending such a high-end talent, it's a luxury to wait for you to wake up. Your safe awakening is what matters most. Zhang Linyu said it bluntly. Do you know what our Central Army Research Institute achieved last year? What? This classified question. How would he know anything about it? An electromagnetic cannon with a 20-kilometer range, and it's the 2nd generation. Zhang Linyu didn't hide anything. She just said it outright. But what you made is 400 kilometers. Now half of the research labs teams are reviewing your design. They're trying to simulate it on computers. If it's feasible, you'll likely get a direct commission. You'll become a member of the institute. No need to wait to graduate from Defense University. Zhang Linyu's words clearly defined your current position in the entire institute. It's all about being extraordinary. You chuckled. Accident. Just an accident. Mainly, I'm quick to learn. Teach me anything, and I get it. Zhang Linyu rolled her eyes at him. Hurry up and eat. After you finish, we need to go to the institute. After the meal, you picked up your phone and saw Yu had messaged you. Your phone is going to be implanted with a chip. Remember to hand it over later. Everything here needs to be monitored. The computer too, Zhang Linyu said. You understand. That's how it is for all researchers. Or rather, you're no longer just a student. You're now a member of the institute. If you were just a defense university student, you wouldn't need a chip implant. But now you're a core member. It's normal to monitor keywords. The moment you decided to write about the electromagnetic cannon on the exam, you had already mentally prepared yourself. Your ID card should be ready by tomorrow. Then the two went to the lab. Entering the institute was even stricter. Even though it's right next to Defense University, security was very tight. Soldiers with loaded guns stood at the entrance, and there were even hidden posts. You had no doubt that if you strolled over here with a camera, you'd be tackled by plainclothes agents from the bushes. After confirming they hadn't brought anything, the two went inside, led by Zhang Linyu. They entered a lab. 7 or 8 old scientists with academician badges were each doing their own experiments. The project was simple, exactly what you had written down, a 400-kilometer range electromagnetic cannon. Everyone was working on your results, verifying them. Over there, Zhang Weiguo suddenly slammed the table. Great, that's great. Zhang Linyu's heart stirred. And she quickly went over to ask, Director, what's the situation? The computer simulation results are out. This is feasible. We can start building the first prototype now. Zhang Weiguo's expression was filled with excitement and thrill. Zhang Linyu looked utterly incredulous. Even though she had mentally prepared herself, when it all actually happened, it still shocked her. Because Chen Mo's electromagnetic cannon project was truly feasible, the feasibility verification had passed. Next was building the prototype. Zhang Linyu looked at you beside her, at a loss for words for a moment. You shrugged. I just wrote it casually. For a moment, the academicians in the lab were all stunned. Just wrote it casually? Then where does that leave them, these scientists, who work day and night here? Just wait. Your rank should be approved in a few days. I'll report your achievement right now. Zhang Weiguo was worried the paperwork wouldn't go through, and you'd back out halfway. He directly had others continue the research, and went to write the report himself. Chen Mo, you come along and help out. Get the sample made as soon as possible. You nodded. Zhang Weiguo added a sentence. Zhang Linyu, you're now Chen Mo's assistant and partner. Zhang Linyu didn't refuse. Instead, she returned to her previous CU demeanor. She nodded. Oh cool. All the professors chuckled inwardly. This girl used to be too proud to admit defeat. Ever since joining the institute, even during her internship, she refused to be an assistant. She forced her way to a third-class merit. With a scientific achievement, she sped through the internship, and finally became a full researcher. And now she was willing to be Chen Mo's assistant. Let's go to the production line. You were also a bit excited. You really wanted to see this electromagnetic cannon you came up with, just how far it could go. So you started a routine life. Woken up by Zhang Linyu at 8 sharp every morning. After breakfast at 8:30, you went to the production line, guiding the supervision of each component of the electromagnetic cannon sample. When it came to understanding the electromagnetic cannon, you had the deepest understanding. No one else. Lunch at noon. A midday break. Working until 8 in the evening. Then you went back to rest. You didn't even have time to study. A month and a half passed slowly. And the college entrance exam results came out. You scored 657. This was really unexpected for you. The science comprehensive was actually 294 points. Except for the one multiple choice question you gave up on. You got the rest right. You marveled in amazement. The last physics problem should have been given full marks. And the rest were done in 10 minutes. What are you thinking? Zhang Linyu walked over. She tapped your head. You rubbed your head, quickly stepped back 2 steps, with displeasure in your eyes. Over this past month, you've gotten familiar with Zhang Linyu. This aloof woman is actually an extremely strong-willed person. She likes to command and pressure. Many times, your overtime wasn't voluntary. You were forced by Zhang Linyu. Just like a capitalist. Why can't I tap you? Zhang Linyu held her head high, with her unique pride. You gritted your teeth. I'm the chief engineer of the project. You're just my assistant. You took a deep breath. Forget it. A good man doesn't fight with a woman. Get ready. Get ready to start the experiment. At this moment, a heavy truck was pulling a giant cannon 10 meters high, slowly approaching. The experimental electromagnetic cannon has already come out. Salute. At the IA entrance, a few military vehicles drove in. Getting out of the car was an old man, and his military rank was Lieutenant General. The Lieutenant General walked over, glanced at Chen Mo. Are you the genius youth, Chen Mo? You quickly saluted. Hello, General. Wang Zhan's face was full of admiration. I heard from your director Zhang that this electromagnetic cannon should be a pleasant surprise. You straightened your shoulders, not showing any fear. This past month, you've also undergone military training. Your whole demeanor has improved more than a notch. Firm and resolute. A 400-kilometer range electromagnetic cannon, codenamed Truth. Please, Commander, inspect it. The codename Truth. You came up with it. Simple, just its literal meaning. Within range. All is truth. What does 400 kilometers mean? It can directly cover all of Pineapple County. If the Eagle tries to stir up trouble, then their carrier fleet would face unguided firepower. Unguided shells are much cheaper than guided missiles. That's the real ammunition used in war. Firepower coverage. Wang Zhan was stunned for a moment. 400 kilometers? You guys aren't messing with me, are you? Last time it was only 20 kilometers. Then a month later, you say the range has increased to 400 kilometers? That's like a dream. Even sci-fi novels wouldn't dare write that. This is in the military. You can't just joke around. Wang Zhan slowly let out a breath, calming his emotions. Seeing you finally relent. If he had clung to that statement earlier, he could have charged you with a crime, but it really wasn't necessary. Wang Zhan proactively offered this way out, hoping you'd quickly change your tune. Commander Wang, this matter can't be put that way. Since we're in the military, how could I speak carelessly? Zhang Weiguo stepped out from behind, though weariness showed on his face. He appeared very spirited, full of energy. Is it really true? Wang Zhan was taken aback upon hearing this. This really isn't a student's joke. He thought just now that this young man was joking. Report. The railgun truth is ready for testing. Preparations are complete. Your expression is firm. Wang Zhan hesitated for a moment, though still hard to believe. He finally made up his mind, approving the tet. Let's start now. You received the order, then began to command. Zhang Linyu, start debugging the equipment immediately. Zhang Linyu was stunned by the order. Debugging equipment? Isn't that what the subordinates do? Why does the chief engineer's assistant have to do it? Isn't this a bit off? Under the lieutenant general's gaze, Zhang Linyu couldn't delay. She immediately started acting. Report. Equipment adjustment complete. Zhang Linyu jogged over and reported to you. You smiled. Prepare to fire. Zhang Linyu, go prepare the projectile yourself. Press the launch button. Zhang Linyu was dumbfounded. Launch button? Where is there a launch button? Isn't this remote launch? Let's begin. I'm already eager. Wang Zhan stood by cheerfully, rubbing his hands, looking very expectant. Beside him stood over a dozen colonels and major generals. In short, the pressure was intense. Zhang Weiguo stood there, also full of anticipation. This was the Gan he had been working toward. Now Zhang Linyu was completely confused. Chen Mo, what are you doing? With so many people here now, aren't we supposed to fire shells from a computer? Why are we suddenly going to fire them ourselves? Did you change something here? This cold female researcher, at this moment, was already blushing, looking very embarrassed. You grin. Right there. Go take a look. Sure enough, beneath the truth-type giant cannon, there's a launch button. Let me go. Chen Mo nods. You go. Hurry up. Who told you to knock on my head just now? Finally, Zhang Linyu stood beneath the giant cannon. Her hand also rested on that button. You stand straight. Turn around and salute the senior officers on the viewing platform. The experimental equipment has been debugged. Ready to fire at any time. Please give the order, Commander. Wang Zhan turns his head, glances at Zhang Weiguo. Zhang Weiguo nods. Wang Zhan looks at you. Approved to fire. Start the experiment. You turn to face Zhang Linyu, who looks very small in front of the cannon. Fire. Zhang Linyu swallows a mouthful of saliva. Start the experiment immediately. Fire. Your voice comes from behind, with a faint, lingering tone. This is a prompt, meaning her mental preparation is taking too long. Then, a buzzing sound suddenly came, like the sound of an electric car starting 10 times louder. The entire giant cannon was now enveloped in a faint blue glow. Then came a blast of air. A black object instantly flew out from the cannon barrel. No one could see its true form. They didn't even see any flames. Wang Zhan was a bit stunned. Just that? The sound of the cannon firing. Isn't it a bit too quiet? Zhang Weiguo had never seen this before. He found it a bit strange. Logically, even for an electromagnetic cannon, the sound shouldn't be this low. Wang Zhan started to doubt. All the electromagnetic cannon versions you developed before, their firing sounds were spot on. Could this be a failed development? The range just isn't that far. At this point, Zhang Weiguo lost his confidence. Chen Mo, do you have confidence? Chen Mo below had a calm expression. Reporting to both chiefs, I can guarantee a range of at least 400 kilometers. Upon hearing this, the officers on the stage all started discussing. This really doesn't seem right. Is this young man bragging? 400 kilometers range. That's more like a missile. This is still a cannon. How can a cannon have such a long range? There's still no news. It must have failed, right? 400 kilometers. Are you crazy? Absolutely impossible to have 400 kilometers. Zhang Linyu, on the other hand, breathed a sigh of relief. Since nothing went wrong. This is too lucky. Or your quality control is really on point. A full 5 minutes passed. Still no news came back. Hey, Wang Zhan asked. What's the situation now? Why is there still no news? You said directly. A fighter jet takes 20 minutes to fly 400 kilometers. Don't rush. Let the shell fly for a while. This point was overlooked. If it really is 400 kilometers, the shell would indeed fly for a long time. Several senior officers then nodded in agreement. That is indeed the case. The shell will fly for a long time. That's under the condition of hitting 400 kilometers. But before this, none of them had that concept. They all thought once the shot was done, they could track the results. Won't the accuracy be a bit off? Wang Zhan was a bit worried. Don't blow up the range. If it veers into the woods and starts a wildfire, that'll need putting out too. Someone, notify the local government of the target area immediately. Have the fire department go on high alert. Wang Zhan's concern was justified. 400 kilometers. The shell would trace a very high arc in the sky. During ascent and descent, there's a good chance air currents could cause deviation. If it's off by just a bit, by the time it reaches the target, it'll be miles off. The fire department over there soon sounded the alarm. Watch for wildfires and shelling. What does that mean? The fire chief received the message, looking totally confused. Are we going to war? Our little county town is being bombed too? What does this order from above even mean? It's a bit weird. Right now, all the officers at the TET site and researchers were discussing These 20 minutes felt quite long. Zhang Linyu walked over and said worriedly, "Nothing will go wrong, right? Are you confident?" You waved your hand casually. "Really not worried at all?" Zhang Linyu's expression was stiff. You took a deep breath and said nothing. For some reason, you just felt in your heart that nothing would go wrong. After all, you were a man with a system. Chen Mo, you really don't seem worried at all. Zhang Weiguo asks every minute if the shells have arrived yet. Just as you're about to reply to Zhang Weiguo, a sobbing sound comes from the big screen. The target in the range instantly explodes. A huge flame rises up. That's a shell. It exploded. TET data analysis complete. Effective range is 405.23 kilometers. Accuracy is 10 to 100 meters. A researcher immediately reads out the data from the computer analysis. His eyes are full of excitement and thrill. The whole place erupts instantly. Bang! Wang Zhan's fist slams hard on the table. Good kid. Really has a range of 400 kilometers. The lieutenant general's tone is excited now. Gone is his usual calm and composure. 400 kilometers, that's like a short-range missile. From today on, the Eagles carrier fleet won't dare enter our waters. You've made a huge contribution. Wang Zhan's eyes glisten with tears. He looks at the still-burning flames in the range. His hand clenched tightly, overwhelmed with excitement. Chen Mo, you've really made Rabbit Country proud. Zhang Weiguo bursts into laughter. It's done. My promise to the army is fulfilled. Truth. Great name. Within the cannon's range, everything is truth. The other senior officers are all excited too. Some can't hold back. Tears streaming down. They can only cover their faces to control their emotions. As top brass of Rabbit Country's military, they naturally know the value of this shot. With this cannon, many problems can be easily solved. If we'd had this 5 years ago, THAAD wouldn't have been deployed. If we had this cannon 10 years ago, the monkeys in Pineapple County wouldn't dare stir in the South Sea. This is a great national treasure. A true great national treasure. Zhang Linyu suddenly jumped up. You really did it. This proud, genius female researcher was now incredibly excited and thrilled. The emotion in her heart had nowhere to vent. Her mind instantly flushed. Excitedly, she directly hugged you. We did it. You really did it. Chen Mo. You really did it. You coughed twice to hide the awkwardness. Only then did Zhang Linyu realize she was too excited. She had even actively hugged you tightly. She quickly stepped back, blushing. This cold, icy beauty now showed shyness. Chen Mo, right? Wang Zhan walked right over, helped straighten the hat Zhang Linyu had messed up. I'll take charge. I'll give you a special promotion. Promoted to captain. At the same time, I'll apply to the higher-ups to issue you a national reward of 20 million, an additional bonus of 20 million. Everyone around was stunned. Even you were dumbfounded. You never expected Wang Zhan to say that. It felt like the country was buying your tech. This kind of tech developed within the system is rewarded based on merit. How could they directly give a huge cash buyout? Zhang Weiguo walked over, patted your shoulder, laughed heartily. Don't just stand there. Your tech wasn't developed inside our institute. How could the institute steal your achievement? This is the tech you wrote down during the college entrance exam. No one can take it from you. Wang Zhan nodded appreciatively. I'll apply for your reward according to the submission procedure. Of course. The money and merit are separate. There's also military merit, but it might be a bit smaller. This was the result after Wang Zhan's careful consideration. If I really gave you military merit, it would probably be at the officer level, a major under 20. That's undoubtedly too young, too easy to attract attention from foreign forces. For your protection, Wang Zhan decided to report your merit through the method of submitting technology, rather than as a defense university student. You nodded. Thank you, Chief Wang. 20 million is a huge sum of money, and it's from the nation, so the prestige is different. Chen Mo. Congratulations. Zhang Linyu hesitated, but finally said it. You'll probably stay at the research institute from now on. You smiled and nodded. Regarding the development of shells, do you have any ideas? Zhang Weiguo asked. Although the precision is there, shell development still requires a lot of testing. High explosive shells or armor-piercing shells, which do you think we should develop first? This question froze you. Knowledge in your mind raced rapidly, searching for relevant content. Chemistry knowledge. I don't even know how to make gunpowder. At most, I know the time traveler's gunpowder making guide, but that's only useful if you travel back to ancient times. What the hell use is it now? Then all the generals present saw this genius young man with incredible achievements. The scientist reveal an awkward smile. He scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. I only have some understanding of electromagnetism and aerodynamics. Actually, I don't know how to make shells. Not even gunpowder. You added. Is making shells a very powerful technology? It requires a long period of study. Did you learn that from research? Why do these military researchers never mention shells? Instead, they focus on studying the cannon. Everyone present was stunned. They don't even know how to make gunpowder. Although it's related to chemistry, this is the basics of military industry. You're a future star. 3 hours later. A meeting room. Zhang Linyu sat in the back. Zhang Weiguo sat right in front. And you were surrounded, taking a TET there. After learning your basic knowledge was poor, Zhang Weiguo then chose to give you an exam. And now this situation appeared. You were scratching your head there, completely unable to write anything. The TET paper was full of basic concepts, some basic applications, but there was a lot of content, including chemistry, biology, physics, aerodynamics, but the concepts here went beyond the scope of electromagnetic cannons, so you couldn't solve them. Under the rule of leaving blanks if you don't know, and not guessing, you finally handed in a TET paper mostly blank. Zhang Weiguo graded it himself. In the end, he got a score of 37. Zhang Weiguo was dumbfounded. His whole expression froze there. Looking at the score, he was momentarily dazed. Zhang Lingyu was also stunned. How is that possible? This is the basic TET from last year's entrance exam. How did Chen Mo only get over 30 points? Maybe it's because he didn't review. Zhang Weiguo finally held back for a long time and squeezed out a sentence. After others receive their admission letters, they are notified of the entrance exam. They all study the relevant content in advance. This institute director, Rabbit Country Academician, looked at you with a complex expression. Originally, he said you wouldn't attend classes and would directly participate in research work, but now it seems you still need to study more. How about this? After school starts, you'll still study with your original class. Zhang Weiguo was completely at a loss for words. Calling you a rookie, you've gone and pulled out another scientific achievement. So incredible it could make the whole country protect you. Calling you amazing, but you can't even pass the entrance exam. Complicated. It's way too complicated now. Alright, you scratched your head, feeling a bit embarrassed. Your basic knowledge really does need improvement. Right now, you only know the concepts related to railguns and the GEM skills from the brawl, and you don't even know the conditions for triggering the system. Zhang Weiguo's expression finally returned to normal. Zhang Lingyu straightened up and acknowledged with a solemn expression, from today onward, you will be responsible for teaching Chen Mo basic knowledge, ensuring he can keep up with the curriculum before school starts. Zhang Weiguo gave the order. Zhang Lingyu saluted and replied, Det. Next, establish the Truth Research Group. With Chen Mo as the group leader and Zhang Lingyu as the deputy leader, Zhang Weiguo spoke seriously, issuing an order as the institute director and honorary president of the Defense University. Allocate 5 million in Shitat AP funds to the Truth Research Group. They can research their own projects. You gave a wry smile. This contrast in identities is too jarring. One is a poor student who can't keep up with the class, and the other is directly the leader of a research group. That's a treatment only Defense University professors get. Honey, do you think our son is doing okay at school? Is life in the military going to be tough? Li Shufan was a bit worried, her gaze shifting from the courseware in front of her to Chen Jun. Over there, Chen Jun felt a chill down his back. At home, he was a quiet, henpecked husband. He quickly said, it's not the military, it's just school. The training won't be too strict. Li Shufan was a bit worried. She rested her head, looking out the window. A knock sounded at the door. Excuse me, is Chen Mo's family home? Both old folks were startled. Chen Mo's family, military personnel, official people are here to visit. Chen Jun quickly stepped forward. He opened the door. 2 armed police soldiers stood at the entrance. Also the neighborhood committee director and county magistrate, the head of the local armed forces department. Your soldier, Chen Mo. He has made great achievements in the military. We're here to deliver a plaque. We're also delivering the military family plaque. In the hands of those 2 armed police, they were carrying 2 plaques. One small one. It read Military Family Home. And the big one read, Home of a Special Class Hero, Special Class Merit. Li Shufan was completely stunned. Her son had only been in for over a month. How could he get Special Class Merit? That's way too fast. So fast it's almost unbelievable. You must have made a mistake. How could my son get Special Class Merit? County Magistrate Jiangqing said firmly. No mistake. It's definitely Special Class Merit. Then Li Shufan's face lit up with joy. But beside her, Chen Jun's face darkened. Then where is he? Li Shufan might not understand something, but Chen Jun knew it thoroughly. 3rd class merit is received standing. 2nd class merit is received lying down. 1st class and special class merit are only received in a box. It means Chen Mo now. Her son might be in life-threatening danger. Maybe he's already gone. Li Shufan also realized something was wrong. Where is my son? The achievements don't matter. What matters is my son's safety. County magistrate said cheerfully. Of course, it's great. This is a special notice from above. And also to report safety. Chen Mo earned a special merit through his research. Li Shufan and Chen Jun now showed shocked expressions. Their son received a special merit unscathed. What exactly is going on? How long has it been to achieve such results? This is simply unbelievable. Your Chen Mo is very impressive. The county magistrate nodded with a smile. Director Huang then started calling the committee staff to install the plaque. Bang bang bang. The hammer began to strike. The county magistrate came in, sat a while, then left. It was clear. The county magistrate really cared about Chen Mo. He even left his phone number, telling Li Shufan and her husband to contact him if needed. He would help if he could. This fully highlights the value of Chen Mo's special merit. This is a fully awarded special merit. Wonder how their son is doing. Li Shufan closed the door, feeling a bit melancholy. Chen Jun took out his phone and called. He answered right away. As a researcher, your phone was never confiscated. Just a chip installed in it, for regular checks. They were both stunned earlier, so they didn't think to call their son. Then their son's voice came through, energetically from the other end. What's up? Li Shufan immediately started venting. Can't I call my son? For no reason? You heartless one, you never call back. Always just busy. One might think you died. I didn't do anything. Mom, why are you so angry? Isn't this a bit of a misunderstanding? His face was full of stiffness and confusion. But Li Shufan didn't say much after a while. She hung up after less than 5 minutes on the phone. You, on the other hand, were completely baffled. The pace of life in Jiangqing is very slow, so slow it feels like life could just stop. The mahjong parlor on the street clatters with tile shuffling. The aroma of hot pot wafts out from every restaurant. It's easy to get lost in it all. A slow life gives a sense of leisurely comfort. You yawned. School's starting soon. Defense University starts a month earlier than regular universities, so classes begin in just a few days. And these days have been a bit tough. When the propellant gathers at the tail, it can unleash maximum thrust. Zhang Lingyu on stage lectures tirelessly, and you, in the audience, are nodding off. It's not that you're not paying attention, you're just too tired. Leading the team during the day to refine truths. Design for mass production. At night, you have to study until 11:30. Now Zhang Lingyu is at your home. After finishing the lesson, she goes straight back to her apartment across the hall. System, are you there? System? You call out to the system in your mind. Give me an insight, quick. This is way too slow to learn. Current knowledge cannot trigger insight. You're completely numb. Studying like this. When will I ever reach my goal? You took a deep breath. Zhang Lingyu, how about teaching something more exciting? This content is putting me to sleep. Zhang Lingyu's body stiffened instantly. A hint of SOC in her eyes. What did you say? Exciting? That's too fast. We haven't even gone through the details yet. Usually, it's all about work. Absolutely not. You nodded. Right, just some applied courses. Current courses are boring. You just want to apply what you learn. Pure theory is too dull. Zhang Lingyu breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing it's not about that. Somehow, she felt a bit disappointed. Tomorrow, academician Wen from the Air Force Research Institute will give a lecture on modern drone combat coordination theory. You can go listen. Hearing this, your eyes lit up. Drones. I'll go listen then. You sat in the front row and stretched your body. Even your bones cracked. You cherished this rare leisure time. Because you slept until 9:30 this morning, then came to this lecture. Normally, you'd be at the factory by now. Thanks to this lecture, you could slack off. Your phone vibrated. A message from Zhang Lingyu. Just listen to that class yourself. I won't be coming for now. Zhang Lingyu isn't coming. You felt more relaxed, so you started playing with your phone. At that moment, Yu Yuzhu was also messaging you. Chen Mo, what are you doing? You instinctively wanted to take a photo, but considering it was an internal lecture, you couldn't just snap pictures, so you typed a reply instead. Watching an academician's lecture. I'm in the front row. Remember back in senior year, when we watched the news together? That academician who developed drones. Now he's on the podium, less than 5 meters away. Yu Yuzhu laughed on the other end. You're lying. Someone from TV lied that. How could they lecture you? You were helpless. You were telling the truth. Why won't anyone believe me? It's lie when I told Zhang Lingyu that I really figured it out on my own, through pure insight, the truth railgun, and no one believed it at all. But it's really true. I, Chen Mo, never lie. You tap your phone, making a faint sound. Students and teachers passing by for the lecture all unconsciously looked at the young captain, sitting in the front row. He looks like a brand new freshman. He doesn't even have a soldier's bearing. Clearly, he hasn't gone through military training. He's talented, so he was admitted early to the Defense University, and now he's wearing a captain's rank. You know, when military academy graduates finish, they're only awarded second lieutenant. With a master's degree, they get first lieutenant. But such a young freshman is already a captain. Let's sit in front. There won't be room later. A guy in uniform, wearing a second lieutenant rank, sat down, bringing a few roommates. Hello, classmate. Is anyone sitting next to you? You shake your head. No one. All those guys wore second lieutenant ranks. Clearly, they enlisted after undergrad and came back for grad school. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been promoted early. The guy who spoke first clearly had something to say. As soon as he sat down, he was talking to the person next to him, and it was all about things unrelated to this lecture. Classmate, your rank. That guy suddenly leaned in and said to you, you can't just wear it randomly. Just pretend for fun. If the patrol catches you, but this could cause big trouble. Let me take it off for you now. That tone of concern, as if he's really worried about you. You think I'm wearing this for fun? Watch your tone when you speak. You said calmly. Your voice carried a chill. The next moment, that guy and a few of his friends all burst out laughing. They're all graduate students. They've all been stationed in units. They're truly commissioned officers. Of course they know ranks aren't easy to earn. At your age, you're only 18 or 19. A captain? Forget captain. Even second lieutenant is impossible. That's only awarded upon graduation. At 17 or 18, what's the most likely rank? Just enlisting as a conscript. Maybe a private. Come on, classmate, drop the act. If the inspectors come, you'll get a disciplinary notice. Hurry up. That guy was pretty outgoing. He reached out to remove your rank. Let me take it off for you. You just enrolled. You don't know yet. I was just an early enrollee. I know how it works. Just ask me next time. The next moment, you shot him a cold glare. Attention. The guy immediately stood up. He snapped into position. His body went straight. The students and teachers around, almost all military personnel, all stared at the standing second lieutenant. They were a bit surprised. Getting scolded here. That must be some serious grudge. That guy's face turned bright red. He sat down. You really won't cry until you see the coffin. I kindly advised you. But you're doing this. Then don't blame me for calling the inspector. You're on your own. Just as that male student picked up his phone, about to make a call, Zhang Weiguo walked in straight. The moment they saw Zhang Weiguo, everyone present stood up and saluted Zhang Weiguo. He's the honorary principal, also the institute's director and an academician. He's everyone's superior here. Everyone stood and saluted when they saw Zhang Weiguo. Yet you were the fastest to sit back down. You sat down very quickly. Even before Zhang Weiguo lowered his hand, you were already seated. The male student next to you was confused. Good grief. The academician hasn't even sat down, and you just sat right down. Isn't that blatant disrespect? He's bound to get a good scolding. Sure enough, in his eyes, Zhang Weiguo was walking this way, clearly coming straight for you. He was overjoyed inside. This clueless brat. He's really done for now. Zhang Weiguo came over to the first row. Zhang Weiguo looked at the male student next to you and patted his shoulder. Student, give me your seat. I'll sit next to him. That male student was now stunned, seeing he didn't move. Zhang Weiguo patted his shoulder again. What are you spacing out for? Zhang Weiguo carried an aura of authority. Soon, the student gave up his seat. Meanwhile, you yawned. Dean, how's the factory going? Zhang Weiguo immediately replied. It's been coordinated. The production line is synchronized with yours. Mass production can start at any time. You nodded and said nothing more. Soon the lecture began. On stage was an old professor in his 70s. He was the deputy director of the research institute and also an academician. Hello everyone. I am Wen Chengyuan. You all probably know me. The lecture I plan to give today is about the application of reconnaissance strike integrated drones in the army. That is, the Air Force equipment configured for the army. Wen Chengyuan had a serious expression. Currently, most countries in the world assign drones to their Air Force units. But on the vast plains of the Black Earth battlefield, the combination of drones and the army seems more suitable now. Reconnaissance strike integrated drones have broad applications. My point in this lecture is to also push forward the integration of the army and drone units as soon as possible, achieving air support for individual combat units. Next, I will explain this concept. And you began to listen attentively. Wen Chengyuan's ideas were very correct. On today's information battlefield, the role of drones is undeniable, and the current army of the rabbit country has not yet widely equipped drones. So in modern warfare, reforming the drone organization is very important. And also very urgent. This is a reconnaissance drone model brought out by the Air Force Research Institute. If paired with the army, it can provide a wide field of view. Then when Chengyuan brought out a drone model, it looked like a small fighter jet. Just as he saw that model, your mind was racing. Ding. Detected an object that can be comprehended. Comprehending technology. Related field. Drones. Automatically activating 100% brain processing speed. A feeling of brain swelling came over you. You felt as if inside your mind, a massive influx of knowledge is pouring in. Knowledge is rushing into the brain lion infusion. It's enriching and filling him up. Comprehension achieved. Successfully obtained the full DZI blueprints for the drone swarm cruise system, including drone DZI drawings and system code. Your expression froze. The drone swarm cruise system. When the knowledge poured in, you gradually came to understand its meaning. Zhang Weiguo turned his head, looked at you, and asked, how is it? After listening, do you have any thoughts? This was a question. You answered without hesitation. Paper and pen. That tone. As if you were about to write something on the spot. I'll go get them now. Unexpected to everyone. Zhang Weiguo showed no disdain, nor any hint of doubt. Instead, he was somewhat excited and had someone fetch paper and pen. When Chengyuan stood on the stage, watching the commotion below, a bit stunned. Zhang Weiguo isn't usually so rash, is he? He's usually quite steady. Is there a problem with the concept I'm explaining? Is something wrong? Everyone can raise any questions they have. I can address them anytime. When Chengyuan said seriously. As soon as he finished, you raised your hand. Then stood up. Your tone was calm. Why do drones need to be paired with the army? If we use reconnaissance strike integrated drones, they can form their own combat system, completing the process of detection and attack. Hearing this, the officers below nodded. If they can detect on their own, and attack on their own, wouldn't that better seize combat opportunities? On the battlefield, you know, opportunities often flash by in an instant. When Chengyuan, upon hearing this, smiled helplessly, because current drone costs are too high. A military drone costs over 10,000. That's already equal to 20 assault rifles. Using them as the main combat force is too uneconomical and not worth it. Yet you didn't back down. There's a better way. Directly build a drone swarm system. Equip the swarm with fighter drones, reconnaissance drones, and aerial refueling carriers that would achieve air superiority in a region and deliver massive strikes on ground units. That's the correct use of drones. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Who do you think you are? Questioning an academician's theory? And with that suggestion, you proposed a whole drone system. All the officers present, whether they knew you or didn't know you, especially those of lower rank, all thought you were crazy. Zhang Weiguo was also dumbfounded. Your talent, Chen Mo, is indeed extraordinary. Extraordinary enough to produce a 400-kilometer railgun. But this was just a lecture to attend. You immediately proposed a new viewpoint on the spot. Isn't that a bit thoughtless? You're Chen Mo, right? Wen Chengyuan wasn't angry. Instead, he smiled. Old Zhang has been telling me about you, saying your talent is great. I can see it now. You really do have ideas. As soon as he said that, the students below were shocked, especially the graduate students attending the lecture. They all started sizing you up. You remained calm, not at all flustered by Zhang Weiguo and the entire lecture hall of hundreds of people staring at you. Instead, you stood up calmly. I am Chen Mo. My previous achievements don't matter. What we need to focus on now is the issue under discussion. When Qing Yuan was startled, he brought up your previous achievements. He just doesn't want this kid to look too bad when he gets refuted later. After all, having achievements in other fields doesn't mean he's researched drones. When Qing Yuan specifically mentioned Chen Mo's research results as a lead-in, but Chen Mo didn't follow the script. He just brushed it aside and wanted to start a debate directly. So what's your idea? When Qing Yuan took a deep breath, he's always been someone who listens to others' advice. Right now, he also wants to know what you think. I've already stated my idea to build a real drone swarm system. Your tone is very cold. Through a large number of drones, directly seize air superiority over an area. The whole system can achieve enemy reconnaissance, ground attack, air superiority, and long-term coverage. So that means you need to design at least 4 types of drones. When Qing Yuan asked, you nodded. But through modular design, you can control the number of designs and production lines to the complexity of 2 drone types. These 4 types are reconnaissance drone, attack drone. These 2 will adopt a fighter-like shape, using jet engines for high-speed movement, and the support drone, bomber drone. These 2 will adopt the civilian drone, propeller-based hovering drone type. When Qing Yuan nodded, indeed, modular design can reduce complexity. Hearing this, the officers below the stage were shocked. Wow. Your idea was actually approved by academician Wen. This means it really has the possibility of being implemented. This young man really has something. Having his idea approved by an academician is already a great honor. Zhang Weiguo also breathed a sigh of relief. At least this kid isn't recklessly messing around. As long as he has something to show, then it's fine. At the same time, a graceful figure appeared at the door. That's Zhang Linyu. She sneaked in quietly, but found you standing there. Chen Mo, what are you standing for? Zhang Linyu ran to sit on Chen Mo's other side. She quickly asked, I feel this professor's design has some flaws, so I offered some of my own ideas. You answered honestly. Zhang Linyu was dumbfounded. That's academician went up there. Do you want to embarrass yourself? You know nothing except electromagnetic cannons. Sit down. Zhang Linyu instinctively tried to pull you down. You pushed her hand away. Don't mess around. When Qing Yuan nodded approvingly. Not bad. This idea is really good. Through 4 models, it can indeed achieve the drone swarm system, thus reaching combat objectives. If it's actually developed, it could even replace the role of 10 fighter jets in a combat formation, and it also has bombing capabilities. But the cost is too high. When Qing Yuan tapped the table, according to your idea, the price of 1 drone would be close to 200,000, and that's just the cost, not including the drone swarm system coding. You grinned. Not that much. According to my design, a set of drones would only cost about 20,000. A set of 10. Your design averages 2,000 per drone. Are you crazy? Even